Hello, my name is EmGee's. Welcome back to another video of mine. Slightly different to my speed running and challenge videos that I normally do. Today we're doing a tutorial video for my streaming friends. If you don't stream and you're curious about how to improve OBS stuff, then feel free to stick along and watch. But if not, and you're just interested in speed running, then you can check out the other stuff on my channel. If you are interested in OBS settings and that sort of thing, then let me run through some of them with you. People have been experiencing some issues with their OBS having encoding errors and such. Maybe their stream is a little bit laggy or not looking the best quality as possible. I'm going to share with you some of my settings that I hope will improve things and hopefully make the stream look a bit clearer and nicer and run a bit smoother on your PC. Normally there's an error that appears down here called Encoding Overloaded, and the CPU you'll find will go skyrocketing into the 60s and the 70%. We do not want that. We want to keep it at this cool, easy 2, 3, 4, 5 kind of level, and if it's slightly above, that's fine, but we do not want it to be over 50. So let's go through some of the settings and see if we can offload some of that stress on the CPU onto the graphics card, which is what we're going to be doing mainly with the encoding stuff. I should say, as a disclaimer, people have different quality PCs, have different graphics cards, have different internet connections. So if this doesn't work for you and it's still a bit laggy, or if it even gets worse, which is actually possible, then do let me know. I'm on Discord. I'm happy to receive calls, happy to be messaged with any help that you guys need. Just let me know, and yeah, I can help you out. So let's go into settings. It's either in this control panel down here, or it's up here in file with the settings here. And then you get the settings window. There's multiple tabs here. We're only interested in a few of them, so don't get overwhelmed, but feel free to look through the ones I don't mention because they're really cool. You can like flashbang people. It's great. Love it when this happens. Ow. Okay, putting that back to default. But yeah, we'll start with video. Here in video, you want to change these to make sure that you're setting your bitrate and everything to the right settings. We want to make sure that this is right first. Whatever you play games on, whatever monitor you have playing the games on, you want to make sure that the base canvas resolution is set to that monitor and that game. If you have a 1080p monitor, if you have a 4K monitor, for example, which would be 2160, then change it to that resolution in this top bar and then leave the bottom resolution as 1080p. Twitch does not accept 1440p streaming yet. There's talks about it might do soon, but at the moment 1080p is all you need. And if you are having a 4K monitor or something of that type, then select the downscale filter, and I think it's called Lanzcoz or Lanzoc or Lax, whatever. The bottom solution, whatever that's called, the 36 sample rate. Choose that one. If you are on a 1440p monitor, like myself, I use a 1440p monitor, I actually stick with 1080p. The only reason why is because the downscaling does not look as pretty going from 1440p to 1080p. 4K divides perfectly. Divided by 4, it goes into 1080, but 1440p does not, and 1080p doesn't need a downscaling. So I keep that as 1080p, but try out yourself and see what looks nice to you. I prefer it sticking with that. And obviously in FPS values, select 60. Next thing we're going to do is to go into stream. There are two things to check in here, or uncheck and check. Firstly is enable enhanced broadcasting. You want to make sure that's turned off. Enable enhanced broadcasting allows you to send multiple qualities of video to Twitch in case people decide to change the quality. We are not a massive broadcasting company. We are individuals in our rooms. We do not need this to be turned on. But if you get massive, I suppose you can have fun with that. And the other thing to check is this: ignore streaming service setting recommendations. Make sure this is turned on. Yes, I do want it to be turned on. This sets, if you don't ignore it, it will set a cap on how much quality you could send through to Twitch. Essentially, the kilobyte rate will be lowered, and we don't like that. We don't want this to happen. So make sure that's turned on. And then we want to go into output here. So there will be two tabs that you'll be interested in here. Firstly, make sure you have output mode set from simple to advanced. This will just give you more control over what's happening with your streaming and recording. For streaming and recording, it's practically the same, but there may be some slight differences you want to change. The most important thing here is to look at the video encoder. So this here is probably the reason why you're having your issue. If it's not, well, we'll go through that. If this is set to X264, which is the default, it will use the CPU as the encoder. We do not want that because CPUs are not designed for encoding, they're designed for processing things. If you have a graphics card in your computer, which you should, it will either be NVIDIA, AMD, Intel. I think that's the main three. There might be others as well, but you'll have a different encoding option. So for me, it's AMD. I have a AMD graphics card. I'm Team Red. So if you click the drop down here, you will see 2 options or 3 options. Choose the one that has your graphics card, AMD, NVIDIA, whatever that may be, and it should end in H.264. If you go into recording and you do the same thing, you might find it says H.265. You do not want 265. It may sound better, but it's not. It's actually too futuristic. It'll make things unreadable. So make sure you're choosing the 264 option here. And that should probably fix your problems. And you can just turn off the video there. But there's other things you can do too with the encoder settings. So let's go through them too. Firstly, you want to set rate control to CBR. It's up to you what you like, but if you're not technically adept, then I would just recommend doing CBR. This is called, I think it's constant bitrate, and set the bitrate to 8,000 kilobytes per second. That's my personal preference. I think if you go above this number, it kind of doesn't add anything. You're getting diminishing returns. 6,000 is also fine if you're struggling a little bit. 6,000 is perfectly clean, and it's really hard to tell the difference. Below that, you might start seeing what's called megapixels, or you might start seeing chunky pixels that makes it look really blurry. If you're playing a very fast-paced game like Apex or Valorant or CS or whatever, you'll definitely see it struggle as it moves around. So I would set this to 8,000 kbs if you can afford it. The keyframe interval I set to 1 second. This is how fast the video refreshes between frames. So 1 second means every second it's giving you a clean frame to work from. So you can set this higher, but I don't really care. Preset here is quality. Set everything here to quality. Set high. If you get a preset something or other, I think you get that with NVIDIA cards. I would set that to P5, P6, or P7. P5 is probably if you're struggling a little bit for quality, but if you have a GigaChad PC, then go P7. If you don't have those options, then don't worry about it. And then here you have max B frames. I would set this to 2. You can also set it to 4 if you want a couple more B frames, but it is more intensive on your computer, so I would just stick with 2. The same thing goes here for recording. I prefer the exact same things on my encoder settings here in recording, so make sure you do copy those over. CBR 8,000, 1 second, quality high too, and any P numbers as well that you have if you have an NVIDIA card. And that's essentially that. There's also a little extra thing here, a little tip as well. In audio, you would normally have it set to 160 bitrate here. I set all my tracks to 320. I've just shown you 160 because that's the default here. I will set that back to 320. This will just essentially give a little bit better quality to the audio. It's not really noticeable, but it's a good quality thing to use, so I would recommend that too. And then the final thing to do is to go here into advanced. There are 2 portions here that's important. So automatically reconnect, which I would enable for sure. And this essentially, if your internet goes down, you can set how fast you can retry. This will essentially mean that if you give this loads of retries, you can give it like 1,000 retries or whatever. Oh, I've just closed the settings. That's great. Why did I do that? Please tell me you saved. That's great. It can, if your internet goes down for a little bit, it will come back later. So I would have that enabled and turned on, especially if you're having internet connectivity issues. And then the final thing, which is probably just a safety problem or safety thing here, is to dynamically change the bitrate to match congestion. This is a new thing they've introduced in a beta version, and essentially it will lower the bitrate if it can tell that your internet is struggling. This is particularly useful if you have loads of people on the internet, or you have kids, or you have, just lots of devices connected to the internet. If people decide to suddenly stream on their own devices, this will lower it so that it doesn't mean your frame rate gets completely tanked. I don't know how to explain it, but you won't appear stuttery. Instead, the quality will go down, which is what we want. We'd rather have a smooth video than a quality video that's stuttering. Stuttering is a no-go. So make sure that one is turned on. And yeah, I think that's essentially everything. As I said at the start of the video, do feel free to message me if you're having any problems. Feel free to call me on Discord and we can go through things together. I have other tips and tricks that I'm happy to share as well. And we can go through each individual situation as it comes. But yeah, I don't know how to end this. Thank you for watching, I guess. And yeah, catch you for the next one. Bye.